everybody, this is that German guy Josh Runquist, and it is my distinct honor to be talking to one of my very first influential drummers in my own drumming, and honestly one of my favorite drummers that will ever be out there, Justin Foley of Killswitch Engage.
You are incredibly too kind. Thank you. That's crazy.
Oh, not a problem. And you guys are going to be doing a great headlining set here at the Skyway Theater. An amazing bill, too. Memphis May Fire, 36 Crazyfists, and Toothgrinder.
Yeah, it's fun. We're only about a week in so far, but it's been going really well so far.
Oh, very cool. And of course, you guys are in support of your brand new album that just dropped a couple weeks ago. Instantly one of my favorite albums of the year so far, and I'm pretty sure it's going to last all the way throughout being one of my favorite albums of the year.
Ooh, thanks.
So what went into the process for the new album?
This one was especially exciting to work on because Jesse was really solidly back with all of us. Like when we did the last record, he had just come back, and it was still sort of new, and we were feeling things out. But then we did that record, and we toured for years, and it was just, we felt like such a good cohesive unit on this one. So I was really excited to get working on a record that he was going to be around from the very, very beginning on for the first time since Live or Just Breathing way back then. So it was pretty exciting to do that. And then other than that, it was just kind of the normal process we've done for the last few, where we all write individually and get together and share ideas with each other. We put songs together, we put demos together, and before we knew it, we had a whole bunch of songs ready to go.
Oh, very cool. And yeah, I was going to say about the new one, as much as I love the previous album where Jesse's back in it, it really feels like all of you guys are just solidly together this time around. It just has that great old school Killswitch Engage vibe in 2016.
Well, cool, thanks. Yeah, I mean, we'd spent so much time together over the last few years, touring and everything. Everyone was just in a really excellent headspace for this record. Because, we didn't know what was going to happen before, and things worked out really well, and so I think everyone was just very happy and excited to work on this, and hopefully the results show.
Thinking about that, did it come through in the music about how the last album, to me it felt like a really dark album musically. I mean, there's like a lot of atmospheric guitar and a lot of blasts on your end. Was that like a representation of the music, of how you guys were feeling at the time?
I think for sure it was. It was almost like I don't know how to say it. We were very sort of fed up with not writing for so long. That everything that we did was really aggressive and fast and just sort of intense. So it was just sort of like just a much more of like an outburst of where all of our heads were at the time, rather than this one doesn't quite have that same. I don't know if anger is the right word, but it doesn't have that exact same kind of frantic feeling, I think, that the last one did. And it definitely came from what was happening with the band and with all of our lives in general, as opposed to what's going on now.
Ah, cool. So, are those songs still fun to play, even though it could have meant like the demise of the band at the time? I mean, are the songs still being fun to play live?
Blast, absolutely. Some of my favorite songs in the entire set are from that record. Like Beyond the Flames and In Due Time are two of my favorites to play every single night, and I'm glad that people responded to that and we can play them and everyone's stoked to hear them.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, it's one of my favorite albums too. I mean, The Call is one song that I always try to go back to and try to replicate what you're doing on there, because I love how fast it is. It's just like a short, fast attack, but there's a lot going on there. It's really cool to play.
Yeah, that was one of the ones that that Joel wrote the majority of. A lot of the stuff that's more closer to death metal-y types of riffs are often Joel riffs. Like The Great Deceit on the new one is a Joel riff, and that's really kind of one of the heavier riffs on the whole record, I think. But yeah, that one was really a huge drumming challenge to play that one, because that blast in the middle is wicked fast. But I love that Jesse is doing a singing dramatic chorus over a blast beat. I absolutely love that.
Those are my favorite type of blasts, is when they use the clean vocals over the blast, because I think they're criminally underrated.
Yeah, I love that way. I absolutely love the mix of blisteringly fast playing over some kind of soaring melody. I think it's awesome.
And it adds so much to it too, because I've noticed with a lot of death metal, I mean, especially when you get the blast in there too, it seems like everything just kind of stays monotonous, coming from the vocals, drums, everything. So when you have those soaring melodies and harmonies in the vocals, it really breaks the monotony of it, and it just adds so much to it.
Totally agree. 100% agree with you.
Oh, very cool. With the new album, what are some of your favorites to play off of it?
Well, so far we've been doing basically the whole first half of the record. We've been rotating in songs, pretty much going through the first half of it. And I mean, we've been doing Strength of the Mind forever, so that's kind of almost gotten to be comfortable now. It doesn't really feel like a new song anymore because it's been out for so long. But apart from that, it's really, really fun to play. Embrace the Journey, Upraise is one of my favorites, and that's a real fun one to play. And just to be able to bash at the end, kind of like an old school, hardcore-y kind of tom part going in there was just really, really fun thing to play.
Oh, very cool. That's one of my favorites too, like to listen to. It's because, like, ever since I picked up the Freddy vs. Jason soundtrack is where I first discovered you guys, and I've always been paying attention to what you're doing with the drumming because I'm a drummer as well. So it's like I always pay attention to that kind of stuff of how you go into the grooves, whether it's gonna be blasts or if you're just laying back doing more of the four on the floor type style.
Yeah.
And it's always cool, like all the way up to the new album, seeing like different varieties that you bring into it too, because it never sounds the same with what you're doing.
Well, thanks. I mean, I can't take all the credit for it because the other guys write a lot of the parts too. I mean, because Adam's also a drummer and was on the first couple records. So I think one of the really cool things about being in the band is that we have two guys with drumming minds, because Adam has a drummer's mind also. So he might think of something I would never think of in a million years, and it fits the song perfect, and then the other way around could work out. So it's really kind of a unique thing that we try to take advantage of as much as we can. And he's a huge four-on-the-floor basher dude. And when I first joined the band, I wasn't into it nearly as much as he is, and I'd love it now. It's like my favorite beat to play. This is that real simple caveman style beat. I absolutely love it.
Oh yeah, and it just brings such an intensity live too. I mean, with how hard you're bashing it,
Absolutely.
And just like so much power behind it.
Yeah, just that steady kick. It's just live is when it really kicks.
With your setup, have you changed anything at all from the last couple albums with what you're playing?
No, it's been pretty much the same now for a really long time. I think I did Endo Heartache on a 4-piece, I think. And then shortly after that, I added an extra floor tom, and I don't think I've changed anything since then. So it's been a really long time.
So especially for Killswitch, I mean, that's just got to be like a great feeling setup, having the one rack and then the two floors, right?
Yeah, I like it. It's just sort of settled into what I have. I mean, I used to have a really large drum kit in high school, and it was mostly when I was playing along to records, and I had other drummers that I loved and everything. And then once I was in bands where we started writing our own music, I found that I didn't use all that stuff with the stuff that I wanted to play writing. Mm-hmm. And then so little by little pieces came away until I pretty much ended up at what I have now.
Yeah. And until you get to that point where you can have your own roadies, you got to haul in that gear yourself too. Yeah. So if you're only bringing in like a splash or something for like a song for a couple hits or something like that, it doesn't really seem worth to bring that splash into it.
Yeah, exactly. But that's when I was lugging everything around, is when I was doing it all myself. I got it backwards. I should have used a small kit back then, and then now that somebody else is setting it up, I should have a Terry Bozzio kit. But I would never do that to him. He's way too nice.
Yeah, definitely. And it sounds like on the new album too, I mean, it does sound like that you have a bigger kit, but I just know that's your style too. I mean, just being able to like flawlessly go from the rack to the floor and make it sound like you'd have like a Neil Peart sized kit.
Thanks. I mean, one little thing that I do is I try to, if I'm doing like a tom roll, I'll switch on upbeats instead of on the beats, and it just, for me, it just makes it feel like you're going farther than you really are, you know? So I'm just, if it's just like a normal 16th note roll across toms, if you're switching from drum to drum, not on a downbeat, it just feels like you're playing a bigger kit than you are, I think. Mm-hmm. So I kind of try to do that. It just sounds more interesting to me.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's how I trick people.
Well, it worked on me at first until I saw your kit in Modern Drummer. I think it was around the end of Heartache when
probably
you
a long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like reading that in high school, and I was just like learning more about the band. It's like, wow, I didn't realize this was just a 4 and 5 piece kit.
Cool.
Yeah,
no, that's good to hear.
Getting into your double bass style playing, I mean, obviously you're sticking with the double pedal. Mm-hmm. Have you ever felt the want or need to switch to two kits, or has double pedal just been natural for you?
Not really. Double pedal's been fine. One thing about the second kick would be just running into problems with hi-hat placement and snare stuff and that kind of stuff. It's just be a little problematic. And having the two kicks match each other is a little bit of an issue. I hear that sometimes. So I just figured it was easier to stick with a single kit. I don't really notice any issues with the pedal. The pedals always seem smooth to me, or maybe I'm just so used to it by now. I've been doing it forever.
Yeah, I've been that way too. It's like I have a full double bass kit, but usually whenever I do shows or I record, I always go to the double pedal because it just makes it so much easier for recording and playing shows. Although, if I never have to move the kit, I like the idea of having two bass drums, but like you said with the hi-hat, unless you like hook it up to the bass drum on one of those hoops, or...
you need one of those things, right?
Yeah, because it's always hard to get good hi-hat placement when you have two bass drums.
Yeah, it's one of those obstacles, but with all the other remote options now, and I'm sure you can make it work.
Yeah, definitely. So what about with your cymbals? I mean, have you changed that at all in the last couple of years about like the different types or series that you're using with Zildjian?
I think the only one I'm still using a custom medium crashes. I switched to ride recently because they make this K hybrid ride now.
Oh yeah,
and it's awesome because I used to use just an A medium. I think it was just a normal A medium ride, and I really liked it. And I loved to crash on it and wash on it, but it was always lacking the bell. And then this K hybrid has them both. It has a really distinct bell, and you can crash it almost like a crash ride. So it gives you that when you want it. It's almost like having a fourth crash cymbal, but it also has a really defined bell. So it's an incredibly versatile cymbal, and that's a fairly new cymbal for them within the last 3 or 4 years maybe, or something like that. But I'm using that now, and it's my favorite cymbal in the kit.
Oh yeah, the K custom hybrids are my favorite Zildjian series. I mean, any style of music I've ever tried playing it on, it feels like it works naturally for it.
Yeah, I mean, I love all the K stuff, except for the ride. For the most part, the other stuff is just too thin to really be durable.
Oh yeah, I can
Except
imagine.
for the ride. The ride is fine, but the other stuff. Oh, my hats are Ks too. I have the K session hats. Those hold up really well. But the crashes, they're so musical. But for this stuff, they don't have the explosiveness or the durability. But they're such. I mean, we're talking musical in this style of music. You're not always looking for musical.
yeah, especially live. I mean, you want it to be able to hold up too. That way, you're not switching out cymbals every set or every week or whatever the
and I'm
situation.
using one of those hybrid heads on my snare, which isn't exactly what I would call musical, but I use it because nothing's going to happen to it. And when it's going through a front of house, it doesn't really matter. You're just getting that explosion of sound that is exactly what you want.
Yeah, as long as you can get that crack out of the snare. I mean, that's all it needs.
Exactly.
And speaking of that, how long do the Evans hybrid, how long does that last you before you have to switch it out?
Forever. Like that can go an entire tour.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
But I probably switch heads more than I even need to. And it's mostly our drum tech Jay is just kind of like, you should probably switch that hybrid out. And I'm always like, it seems fine. And he's like, it's probably switch it out. He gets a little nervous, more so than I even do. But that thing I've never even become close to pitting it or anything. It's just flat. Like it just wears a little bit, but it doesn't feel like it's almost like looks like it's cosmetic wearing.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like anything is actually happening to the head.
Yeah, I've noticed that with like the really thick heads. I mean, sometimes like the outer coating comes off, but it's like it'll never get damaged. You never see like the bumps that come with it. You never hit through it. So
never, and it's fine. I mean, I'm not going to record. We didn't record with it or anything, but live it's perfect.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of that, what were the changes that you made from the recording process to the live situation with your setup?
Other than that head, I don't think anything. Oh, I just recently finally listened to our front of house guy and started using plastic beaters.
Oh yes.
I've been using felt beaters forever, and I finally caved in and listened to him and tried plastic, and I was like, yeah, this is fine. I don't know what I was holding out for. So it gives him more what he needs, and I'm not noticing anything different. Acoustically, I don't like the sound. If I was just going to play with nothing mic'd up, I don't like the plastic sound as much as I like the felt sound. But
me too. None
of that matters when you're playing rooms like this and you're using ears and all that stuff, so it's totally fine.
Oh, absolutely. Do you have like a badge or anything on the bass drum now that you switched over to the plastic side, or is the head holding up?
It's got one of those patches on it, like the Evans double patch, and it's pretty durable. I don't have the head too loose where it gets dented. I like to have it a little tighter, just to get a little more rebound off of it.
Oh yeah.
because I can't play that fast, but I need all the help I can get. So I have it a little bit tighter for the rebound, but they hold up pretty well.
Oh, cool. Yeah, and I was going to say, too, because like some of the speeds that you hit, too, it would be even more amazing if you're able to get it with a low tune bass drum, but having that little bit of rebound in the tuning, that definitely helps you stay consistent as long as you can get used to what the pedals are doing.
It makes a big difference, it really does.
Yeah. So getting back into the new album, I know there was I think a couple bonus tracks that came with the new album, right?
Yep.
Was there anything that was like started off as an idea during the process that didn't get recorded that might end up in the future?
In the future, I don't know. There's leftover stuff, but for the most part, that's not entirely true. The first song on the record we wrote like 3 records ago, so that's been kicking around for a while.
Yeah.
But we finally got it totally finished the way we liked it. Because my instinct was to say, well, if we didn't really like working on it, then we probably didn't really like it. But then I just totally remembered that song's been kicking around forever. So there were a few things that we were just sort of like, we don't, we'll put that away, or it wasn't really moving us at this point. So, but for the most part, a lot of the stuff made it, because there's those songs, there's bonus songs. There's the other song that's going to come out on Record Store Day, and that little 7-inch thing that's from this session also. It's going to be just be for that. So, most of the stuff that we finished, or at least really started working on, is either released or about to be released.
Oh, very cool. So getting back into the live setting again, now that it's been a few years since Jesse's come fully back into the band, is the fan still holding receptive of him doing the Howard era songs?
Seems like it. It totally seems like it, and he's killing it, and he sounds better than he's ever sounded. It's like I said, like we couldn't feel more more connected as a unit than I think I've ever remembered the band feeling right now. So it's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely.
It doesn't always translate into success, but it makes us feel happy.
Yeah, and sometimes that happens too, where it feels like it's a good idea to bring someone back, and then it always seems to like fall apart. But it makes me very happy to see that you guys are together and you guys are staying stronger than ever, because that's definitely the way it should be. I didn't want you guys to like have a fallout like what could have happened. I mean, you guys came back and you've come back stronger than ever with 2 amazing albums so far.
No fallout so far.
Yeah.
Everything's good so far. I think it's going really well. I can't imagine it having gone better. So I feel very lucky.
Oh, very cool. So with obviously Jesse having a different vocal tone than Howard, did it take a while to get used to hearing those songs in a different vocal approach, or did it just seem natural from the beginning?
A little bit of time, but it was the same kind of thing before when Howard was singing Jesse songs, like Howard singing Serenade, and then eventually that's just the way you're hearing it. And now Jesse's singing Heartache, like that's just the way that I'm hearing it now. It's just sort of it might be a thing for somebody that sees us, once every year or 2 years. It might sound a little different, but for us doing whatever amount of shows that we do over the course of a year, it's just become so natural now that when I listen back, and it takes me a second to hear the original, like if I'm warming up for a tour or something, and I put, I throw like my curse on there. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, it's not Jesse. It takes like 1 second to be like, oh yeah, that's right, that's how it sounded. Okay, I remember.
Well, that's great to hear too. I mean, was there any songs that feel like you couldn't do without Howard, or any songs when Howard was in the band you couldn't do without Jesse, or anything like that, or is like everything up for game when you do a set list?
The most important thing for Jesse coming back was that he had to connect to the songs, and really, he wasn't going to be. It's so personal. Your voice is the most personal instrument that he wasn't going to go up there and sing something he didn't feel or make some kind of connection to, or have his own connection to, or whatever. So, if there are songs that maybe weren't hitting with him a certain way, then we weren't going to be like, no, you got to do this song, or you got to do that song. I mean, there are hits that we were strongly like, we actually kind of really do have to do these songs. But it was fine with all those. Like that was never really an issue. There are probably some more that we could dig into that we haven't dug into yet, but right now we've got enough of a rotation with brand new songs to add into the set, and then stuff from the other records, and we're trying to change at least a quarter to a third of the set every night. We're trying to change. So if people see multiple shows, they don't see the same thing. We have a pretty good stock of songs now that we can do that with. But maybe in the future we can even add to that some more with some of the other songs from the other records.
Oh, that's fantastic to hear too. I mean, that's what I've always appreciated about the Killswitch set list is it's never just a static set. I mean, if you go to 2 shows in a row, or if you see a couple on a set, you won't get the same sets because it's like it hits on all eras. And
We're trying to do
that.
it even more so. I think we got in a little bit of a rut for a little while, but now we're trying to really get out of that and just mix things up. I mean, there are certain mainstays, but there's plenty of room for us to play other songs.
Oh, absolutely. So what are you guys' plans for the rest of the year?
We're going to Europe in June. We going to Europe again in like the very late part of the year, and we're going to do something in the States in the summer. We don't have it nailed down what it's going to be yet, but basically tour, because record's out, time to tour. So we'll be on the road a lot the rest of the year.
If you can't answer, that's fine. But would this be a part of like a festival deal, or would it just be like you guys going out and bringing out a few bands?
We honestly don't know.
Okay.
There are a couple different options, and we haven't figured out which one is going to work yet. So I can't answer without knowing.
Oh, sure.
I don't know either.
Totally. Yeah.
So hopefully that gets locked up really soon. I have a feeling it might, but yeah, it's going to be. We're going to be on the road a lot. So.
Oh, very cool, because the album absolutely deserves as much touring as you guys can bring to it.
Thanks.
Outside of Killswitch Engage, was there any albums that came out last year that you were digging, or anything that's coming out this year you're looking forward to?
Thrice is coming out.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I am so excited about that.
Yes.
I am really, really excited for that, because I missed the boat on them, and I got into them kind of after, like right when they were splitting up. Mm-hmm. So I was like, and I love them. So I'm incredibly excited for that new record to come out.
Yeah, definitely. I discovered Artists in the Ambulance when I think it was in middle school or high school. I discovered that, and I've been a fan ever since. So,
Yeah.
like, hearing about a new Thrice album, I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, pretty excited.
Oh, very cool. Well, thank you for taking the time to do this interview.
No worries.
It's a tremendous honor to be able to talk to you, discovering you guys. I think it was 8th grade when I discovered you guys, and just been a huge fan ever since.
Cool,
And
thanks so much.
keeping down my fanboyism a little bit so I can get a good interview going. But before we wrap things up, is there anything else that you'd like to bring up that I haven't brought up yet?
No, I don't think so. Just the record and the tours. And thanks to everybody that's ever been a fan and ever come to a show. It's the whole reason that we're able to do this, is for all you guys. So thanks.
Well, thank you very much. Once again, that was Justin Foley from Killswitch Engage. Make sure to check out this current tour with Memphis May Fire, 36 Crazyfists, and Toothgrinder. And if it's not coming towards you, don't fret. There may be some stuff in the works for summer 2016.
Excellent.
And pick out the new album that just came out a couple weeks ago. Easily one of the best albums of 2016. This is that German guy, Josh Runquist. Thank you.